We all know how long it takes to max the laboratory. It feels like forever. So let's tell you everything you need to know about speeding it up. Welcome back to the channel then, guys. I'm your host, Judo Sloth. You need to know that the laboratory is most likely going to take you the longest amount of time to max at any given town hall level. Fortunately, there are some things that you can do in order to speed up your progress. I will have video chapters so you can review any of the tips, but the first, most important thing is do not do this. Do not have your lab sitting dormant. You always want to have an upgrade researching in the laboratory because it takes the longest amount of time. Now, I know that seems like common sense, but we will be feeding into this as I go through the tips. So let's begin with magic items. Although I don't have all of the relevant magic items in stock here on my Town Hall 12, it makes sense to discuss them on this account because I will be going over my future upgrades, which ones make sense to use hammers versus books, and of course resources just to naturally upgrade. I mentioned the books and the hammers, which I will be getting to, but the other magic item relevant to the lab is the research potion. This is because it makes lab upgrades 24 times faster. So essentially it shaves pretty much an entire day off your lab upgrade. You can't really go too far wrong with this. The only times you do not want to use a research potion is if you later plan on using a book to finish off the upgrade because you've then wasted the potion, or if you have less than 24 hours of the upgrade left and you are not going to be instantly putting another upgrade into the lab because you have essentially wasted part of the potion. We then have the books and the hammers. They do a similar thing of instantly finishing an upgrade, which is good because most of the time it is time that is the limiting factor rather than resources. You have both the fighting and spell versions for both of the books and the hammers. You actually have the book of everything as well, so you could use this on either, but you could also use it on your regular buildings or heroes, entirely up to you. The main difference is that hammers do not require the resources in the first place. So the books only finish the upgrade time, you still need the resources. The hammers do both, and that is where the big difference lies and how you have to use them correctly. So now that we've briefly gone over the relevant magic items for the lab, let's discuss it. I personally upgraded all of my elixir-based troops on this account and left the dark elixir troops till later on. You know this because I brought you the video on how to upgrade your heroes fast, and that is what I was prioritizing on, alongside how to upgrade your base fast. So now that we have the dark elixir troops, it is highly important that I use the resources to upgrade some of them, the books and the hammers for others, and that I do this with the best efficiency. So let's explain. Now, the research potion doesn't really come into play because each of my upgrades are longer than 1 day. So as already explained, as long as I use it when there's more than a day left, I can't go too far wrong. But let's take a look at the upgrades and compare resources to books and hammers. Let's start off with the minions. 17,000 dark elixir, 2 days and 13 hours. I am going to explain this in as crystal clear, simple format as possible so everybody understands. This upgrade would not be a good choice for the books or the hammers because it is both cheap and quick. Let's take a look at the Golem. 6 days and 9 hours, 85,000 dark elixir. So if I were to use a book for the Golem versus the minion, it is a much better option because the book is instantly finishing time no matter how long the upgrade is. So because the Golem is 6 days and 9 hours in relation to the minion, which is 2 days and 13, it's obviously a much better option. Let's take a look at the Hog Rider. 204,000 dark elixir, 11 days and 21 hours. In comparison to the Golem, it is both more expensive and longer. So yes, arguably the book would give me better value on the Hog Rider than the Golem, but it would also provide much better value to use the hammer because I don't have to spend 204,000 dark elixir. Now that raises a really interesting point that both the books and the hammers will become better value the higher up you go. But remember, the storage capacity of both the books and the hammers is 1. So whilst saving onto it will always provide you better value the higher up you go, you do have to make a judgment call as to where you are as to spending it on the best value at that given situation so that you can free up capacity to get another. Now there are a couple of exceptions to that which I will get onto, but one thing which is really important is making a decision for you, because whilst you do want to have a look at upgrade costs and times and pick the best possible value for the books and the hammers, you might be upgrading your base differently for different purposes. For example, on this base, I have been prioritizing the Hog Riders over a lot of other things because you know from my video 2 days ago when we discussed when you should rush your Town Hall, that this base was rushed in order to provide donations. So for me, I was prioritizing the Hog Rider, and in some situations, I might have used a hammer or a book on the hogs, and it might not have been the best possible value at that given situation, but everyone's different. So whilst I am trying to tell you about efficiency, make the upgrades as to what you want to use. The main exception to not just using your books and hammers at where best makes economical sense to free up capacity is within the League shop, because if you want to progress through all of the Town Hall levels and you're not worried about your instant progress here and then, there is a way to stack the medals whereby you get way better value. Now if you do enjoy my educational but entertaining Clash of Clans videos, I would recommend subscribing and turning on the notification bell. You can also join the dojo for exclusive perks such as custom emojis in the comments. Whilst the Hammer of Fighting and Spells has a capacity of 1 and a 7-day cooldown after you've purchased one before you can get another, your Clan War League medals actually can be saved up to 2,500. Now this is way more than you would achieve in any given season. I would say the average player would probably achieve somewhere in between 250 and 500 league medals. Even if you were to achieve 500, that is 5 months worth of medals before you hit the capacity. Now you would want to start spending the medals, start purchasing the hammers and using them before you stacked up on maximum amount of medals, but it does give you a little bit of leeway whereby you can wait a few months and therefore the hammers would give you way better value. I appreciate that is a longer term strategy and something that you would need a lot of patience and dedication to pull off, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you couldn't buy a hammer here and there if you really wanted an upgrade. Again, it's that balance between enjoyment of the game, what you actually need at any given time, versus the best efficiency. And do not worry, you would always be able to spend the medals faster than you could achieve them. Don't worry, there are certainly other tips in terms of speeding your progress in the lab, but the magic items where you can really make a big difference, so that's why I wanted to cover that first. The other exception though to not just using your book to free up capacity is if you are going to be purchasing any special offers within the game. Just know that any of the packs, the magic items will stack, therefore you don't have to worry about freeing up capacity. But I would give a word of warning on the gold pass, because even though you purchase it, the books from within the gold pass, you will need capacity in order to collect them. You would not want to sell the books for 50 gems. You would be better off using the book on a less effective upgrade, because it's still going to work out better than 50 gems that you get on return for a book. But the gold pass comes around every month, so you have a couple of weeks to plan your upgrades for the best efficiency. If you are purchasing anything in game, whether it be the gold pass or any of the packs, remember you can help to support your favorite content creator in your settings My code is Judo, and it is much appreciated, my friends. Let's cover all of the other stuff then. Some of these tips might seem like common sense, but activity within the game is highly important. More farming, I will give you a farming army, but being able to take part in everything means you get more resources to upgrade within the lab. And remember, the most important thing is not to let the lab sit like this with nothing upgrading. Clan games is important. As part of that, you will get more resources, but also more magic items. When you are collecting from the clan games, make sure you are prioritizing the Book of Fighting, the Book of Spells, anything that helps you in the lab. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a juggling act depending on what you want to upgrade. If there's a Book of Heroes in there, you might prioritize that, as I did when I brought you the secrets on how to upgrade your heroes fast. But if you are asking me about the lab, that's where the bottleneck tends to be. It takes the longest at any given town hall level versus anything else. Then prioritizing the lab means you are trying to balance it out, whereby everything finishes together. But I do appreciate that hopefully Supercell will continue to shorten the amount of time in the lab. And just slotting this in here before we move to the next tip, because I know it will be asked in the comments, I do not think that Supercell will ever give us a second lab. I often get asked, can we have a second lab for the troops and the Dark Elixir troops? Maybe a different one for the spells instead of troops. But the fact of the matter is, real estate on the base is so important. Supercell are already problem solving. What happens as they add more buildings? They don't want to expand the base. What happens when they get over 100 buildings and each building is not necessarily worth 1% in an attack? One method they have came up with is fusing defenses. Maybe they will go with that, maybe they won't. But adding a second lab would just add to the problem and would not help the outcome. They would be better off just cutting the upgrade time by 50% of everything in the lab. It would still give the same outcome as a second lab, and they don't add to the problem of adding buildings to the base. So I don't think we would ever see a second lab, but I do think that Supercell should continue to cut the times as necessary, like I said. I feel I might get asked, should I purchase anything in the trader? So I will go over that, but also I want to make clear that you should always keep an eye on the events tab. Often there are events there that are relatively easy to complete, and you gain magic items, sometimes resources, sometimes it is books that can help directly with the lab. But even if not, it's not to say that everybody just struggles with time. Some players might struggle to gain the resources. So in that case, taking part in anything is going to help you upgrading both your base and keeping your lab researching, which again, you want to make sure it is always researching. Now, with regards to the trader and the daily deals, I personally would not purchase the research potion. 120 gems, I don't feel is enough value, but maybe you do. My recommendation wouldn't be to purchase that. The Book of Fighting and Spells are both actually over 900 gems. So again, I personally wouldn't go with that. But if you are planning on using gems to finish an upgrade, then it might work out better value for you. Again, I probably wouldn't recommend that for most players though. I have two quick top tips for you right now that I probably should have talked about when we were discussing the relevant topics, but I forgot. I have been drilling into you to keep the lab researching, but there is one exception: the Gold Pass. I often talk about the perks of the Gold Pass. The research boost is the boost that is relevant to the lab, but when you might not start an upgrade is if you are close to the next research boost. If it is going to take you a couple of days to get there, you're probably better off to just start the upgrade. But if you think you can get to that next boost within a couple of attacks, you will probably save more than the time it takes you to get to the boost. So it's definitely worth waiting on the upgrade until you get that boost. The other tip is in relation to the hammers. I mentioned the 7-day cooldown, making sure you are purchasing the hammers every 7 days, but do not feel like you can't do an upgrade in the meantime. You should use one hammer hammer. Then you can do an upgrade. The battle blimp is 8 days and 12 hours. You can still purchase the hammer when the 7 days is up. You don't have to instantly use it. Then when my battle blimp has finished upgrading, I can use the next hammer, and I haven't wasted any time in between. When is it time to upgrade though? Should you upgrade your town hall level even if your laboratory is not finished? I'm not going to go into great depth with this because I have a video explaining when you should upgrade your town hall level, taking into account everything, but my personal opinion is because the lab tends to take the longest and you will more than likely be finished everything else and still have some troops and spells left to upgrade, I would just upgrade my town hall. Otherwise, you will have builders sitting doing nothing. Don't get me wrong, it always comes back to how you want to play the game. But if you have builders sitting and doing nothing, then you are wasting time. It's inefficient if you are wanting to max as soon as possible. The other thing to consider is that you don't use all of the troops and spells for every attack. So you probably want to prioritize a farming army, a war army, also take into account the barbarians and the archers, because remember, the barbarians and archers that are spawned from your hero's ability are the level that is in the lab. Following that, it kind of comes down to what you want. You probably don't need to upgrade everything, so therefore, just upgrade your town hall and don't worry about it. I do want to show you my recommended farming army real quick, but I also want to cover, because I'm sure I will be asked, what should you upgrade first? Now, this is always very subjective and it's constantly changing with the meta. So that's why I recommended a farming army, a war army, the barbarians and archers, and then you can kind of branch out from there to different war armies based on what you want. But I do actually have an upgrade guide for every town hall level, which you may want to check out. That video will be linked in the description alongside other relevant videos to this one, and I do plan in the future of maybe bringing a lab specific guide going over all of the different troops and spells. Let's quickly do a live attack then to showcase my farming army, the baby dragons and lightning spells. I also want to get an upgrade going in the lab, and I am going to upgrade the lava hounds. I didn't have it upgrading throughout this video because I wanted to make the point to you of keeping it upgrading. But let's go ahead and get the lava hounds upgrading. This is going to be part of my lava loon attack strategy. And just know that if you have any further questions on this video or any of my others, you can drop by my live streams on Twitch. The link for that is in the description. Okay, this is a nice amount of loot to showcase the baby dragons. Now, you don't have to use this farming strategy. You could use whatever one you wanted, and I featured my top 5 recently in a video. Reason I like the baby dragons, it is a single troop and single spell to upgrade in the lab, so it's relatively quick, and you can take the collectors or the storages. So let's take a look at this base. Now, I like to use the lightning spells. I do see there's stuff in the storages, so I want to get in there. I like to use the lightning spells to take down an air defense, but something else as well. So actually, we could take the air defense here. We could take the archer tower and get damage on the eagle. Did I miss the archer tower with one of my lightnings? Maybe I did. I'm not going to use another one there just yet. Let's use the lightning here to take the archer tower, air defense, and sweeper. So yes, must have missed one of the lightnings over there before. And let's hold on to the other lightning for the moment. Actually, let's use one to finish that archer tower because I still have enough to finish the another air defense if needed. So you want to spread the baby dragons around the base so that they are using their enraged bonus. If you are trying to get deeper into the base, for example, to storages, you do want to deploy them onto the defenses first. So you would want to prioritize, let's say, this archer tower in order to take that down. Then the baby dragons have a little bit of just free reign, if you will, to move around the base. So I'm trying to target that unsuccessfully at the moment. Let's take a look at the rest of the base. Let's actually use 3 lightning onto here, try and damage the queen whilst we are at it, and then let's send baby dragons around the bottom. Now, I do need to be careful because you can forget about the storages as long as you take the collectors. That is where most of the loot is. You guys know that. So you do want to make sure you are pinpointing the baby dragons. You don't necessarily have to take down defenses if it's unnecessary. If you can get that area, I can leave the defenses. You just want the loot. So let's put one into that gold storage. Got plenty of baby dragons down the bottom. We're getting this elixir storage. Then we do have the dark elixir here. We've got 14 baby dragons. So let's spread them around the top. I do have my archer queen, but your archer queen is obviously a little bit different. You don't have to use your archer queen. You can save onto your hero abilities to try and take down the enemy queen. Didn't quite get her. Oh, I'm debating sending my archer queen into the center to get the eagle, and then that makes it a little bit better for the baby dragons as well. Actually, my archer queen is going to go around the side of the base here, isn't she? So if I can use one more baby dragon to get the Tesla and the archer queen, she should then go into the base. Perfect. 42 seconds. Oh, no. No. Too busy trying to explain the strategy and not enough time deploying troops. Let's get in there, archer queen. I don't think we're going to get the dark elixir storage. Let's see if we can get the 2 gold storages. Queen's doing okay. She should get the elixir. And we will finish with a nice bit of loot here. Let's just put it that way. Nice bit of loot. Could have been better. Let's use the queen's ability. But hey, I've taught you the strategy. You know what you need to do. And it is, for me, the best farming strategy. I don't think there's anything that I prefer over it. It is very good at taking down collector raids and storage raids to try and pick it apart. And in the end, how much did we get? Oh, just short of 1 million. I love to share my 1 million loot raids on Instagram. Not quite here, but at least you know the strategy. If you want to know how to upgrade your heroes fast, I have a video right here for you. Similar format, same playlist. I would check that one out if you're interested. Subscribe button is there, my friends. But I will catch you in the next video. Have a good one.